Joining us now is Yirmiyahu Danzig. He's an Israeli activist at the home, Habayit. Thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
So many questions to ponder. You know, from the beginning, when Kanye West made all these anti-Semitic remarks and he started spewing all of this anti-Semitism, people were calling for these brands to cut off ties with him. They said that was the right thing to do. But is it the right thing to do? Is this actually going to stop his anti-Semitism from spreading?
So I think it's really two questions. Is it the right thing to do? I think so. I mean, often people will describe this as canceling Kanye, but really before the concept of cancelization or anything of that like was existing, we had this idea of consequences. And so you can't be expected to be able to just spout the most racist type of garbage and not have to suffer in some way, shape, or form. Will it stop anti-Semitism? That I don't think so. But if we look at some recent history of the anti-Semitism just in the United States, Henry Ford, when he created the International Jew and basically translated the Protocols of Zion and popularized it throughout America, and it had an increase of anti-Semitic violence, I'm not sure if those consequences would have stopped him, but certainly it didn't impede the spread of anti-Semitism throughout the United States.
Now, a lot of what Kanye was preaching, we've obviously heard these videos played over and over again of his media appearances, his interviews, him saying that the Jews, they control the media, they control major brands. And what we're seeing right now is he is being dropped by major brands. Obviously, we know that this would have happened if he had been racist towards any other group. We would have seen the same type of reaction from major brands like this. But is there a chance that there's going to be more backlash against the Jewish community as a result of this?
Yeah, I do believe that there will be, and I think that, you know, it's important for us to understand that Dr. Henry Louis Gates once said that under the floorboards of Western civilization, the United States is an extension of that. We have anti-Semitism and anti-blackness. So right now what we're seeing is an iteration of how anti-Semitism works in the United States, where it tries to say you're either Jewish or black, and those two groups are not only mutually exclusive, but they're going against each other. So part of this backlash, some of the most painful expression of that backlash is going to be felt by people like me, Jews of color in the United States, in which our identities overlap. And Kanye's comments don't recognize that. They kind of ignore that completely. And to the extent that it does say that there are Jews with dark skin in the United States that are descendants of enslaved peoples, it tries to say that these tropes only attack those who are white passing or white Jews in the United States.
Right, so there's, you know, obviously what we've been seeing is a lot of anger. I've been one of those people myself online. Your immediate reaction when you hear somebody in such a position of power, of influence, speaking that way is to react angrily. You want people to know that it's wrong, but obviously more than just posts, more than just cutting deals is what needs to happen for his words not to spread any further and to be accepted by more people. In the past, it really is cancel culture, in a sense, what we're seeing happen to Kanye West right now, whether or not it's right that it's happening. Has this worked with other celebrities?
Well, I think in some cases it has worked. Like we haven't heard from Kramer after he had his racist outburst. In some cases it hasn't. Mel Gibson, with his anti-Semitic and anti-black remarks, was able to come back into the scene without having to face serious consequences. And really what we need is to have a conversation about how anti-Semitism and anti-blackness both function and intersect in the American context. And what Kanye needs to be looking at are how Jews of color are suffering from these structures as well. If we just look at Nigeria, the way that anti-Semitism functions in that country, Igbo Israelites, which I'm sure he has some type of affinity for, are suffering from the same exact tropes and are even murdered in the name of supposedly controlling Nollywood, of controlling the banks in Nigeria.
Right.
So we need to have a more robust conversation about how anti-Semitism functions and how it intersects with anti-blackness.
So final words, Yirmiyahu. I'm interested to hear, you know, do you think at this point these brands just cutting them off is enough? What needs to happen to stop anti-Semitism? Big question, broad question.
Very broad question, but a very good one.
On this?
So I think that, look, as a Jew, I believe in the concept of tshuva, of the ability to look back at something, have deep regret, and then have a redemption. So if Kanye is actually interested in not just peddling the same type of recycled libels that not only Jews suffer for, but Jews of color suffer for, and people of color in general suffer from, then we need to have a serious conversation, and he needs to come correct to all the lies that he's spreading and how it makes all of us only in a more vulnerable position in the United States of America.
All right, well, the question is if, you know, we're going to hear him take back those words? Are we going to see a much bigger apology? What is it going to take to make that happen? Obviously, clearly, will not be enough. But Yirmiyahu, thank you for joining us and breaking that down. Really fascinating.